89 Magpie. Do you believe there is anything you could write to a Scientology address that the recipient of the letter would read and actually get them thinking that it's all a waste of their life and talent? Is there a location that has been set up in the country where a defector can go to first hide and get on their feet? Has anyone thought of selling up an organization for those just leaving the church? Are there a group of volunteers dedicated to covertly retrieving those who wish to leave? And finally, is there any way to communicate to the entire organization at once, i.e., a mass email list or something of that nature? All right. Thank you for this series of questions. Since they all are sort of so closely related, I thought I would just take it all up at once. As far as some being able to write something into Scientology that'll have some kind of effect, I mean, not really. Kind of, if you know the person you're writing to and you know something about them as to what it is they might have doubts, fears, or reservations about that you might be able to exploit or discuss. But otherwise, no, not really. They're just going to throw it away. And that sort of thing really just helps them double down on their beliefs more so than it does give them reason to have doubts. If you were to say stuff like, have you been paid this week? Or, when was the last time you were yelled at? Or is there, or have you given up too much of your life for Scientology? Have you ever felt any regrets about how much you've given over? Are you getting as much as you're giving? You could ask kind of sharp and pointed questions like this or a million variations of them, and it might have some effect on the person who happens to open the letter, or it might not. It's totally random who you're going to reach. So it's a shot. I'm not saying don't do it, but I am saying it's going to have, it's going to be a huge question mark as to what effect you're going to have on that. But I'm not saying don't do it. I'm saying that, if you're just sending them in randomly, cross your fingers, maybe. As far as, is there a location set up where defectors can go? Well, if there was, I wouldn't tell you guys about it publicly because Scientology would just go destroy it. I mean, you got to understand some of the questions you guys ask me in a public forum are really private type questions like this, and I had to stress that because you guys need to know that we can't just talk openly and publicly about recovery centers or how to get people out of cults, because the cults listen to us. And if I gave you the exact address and phone number of people who are willing to help people get out of Scientology, well, Scientology is going to try to do something about that. So are the Jehovah's Witnesses. So are the 12 tribes. So are Christian cults. I mean, all these groups, are kind of have an interest in their own survival, and they have an interest in people who are trying to take them down or are trying to help ex-members. They really do have a big, huge problem with things like the Aftermath Foundation. And so what all I can really send you to in this regard is the Aftermath Foundation, because that's the only group that's sticking its nose up out of the ground and saying, hey, we're here, we're public, and we are here to help people who've gotten out of the Sea Org and need some help. They do not have a physical address where you go or where somebody is going to be certainly able to go if they leave the Sea Org, because that depends on where they left from and what resources and volunteers are available to maybe take them in and help them out. Those things do exist, but we can't talk about it publicly here. You'd have to contact the Aftermath Foundation directly via their website, and then they start arranging all of that in secret. And that's how that kind of works. And if you do have an idea of wanting to help out the Aftermath Foundation with that, we could use the help. They could use the help. We all I say we as far as the ex-Scientology world, the Aftermath Foundation does good work. And it's the only group, like I said, consists of former Scientologists helping people get out of Scientology. So that's what that's all about. As far as, has anyone thought of setting up an organization for those leaving the church? That's the Aftermath Foundation. Are there a group of volunteers? Yes, that's the Aftermath Foundation. And finally, is there any way to communicate to the entire organization at once? No, there's not. You'd have to have access to Scientology's confidential internal servers and drives and email lists and stuff, and they're never, ever, ever going to give that out to anybody. So good luck accumulating that. There you go.